we now have Wukong, Aphelios, Ultra Prime are like, which direction do we go? Safe bottom lane again, and a strong meta pick really in 12-12.
This is kind of a gamble you're taking in terms of you going with the Aphelios and leaving open the Wukong. But I can understand why Ultra Prime did it, of us hitting on like LNG not leaning on the Wukong as heavily this split, and just the fact that we have seen it flop as much as we have seen it succeed. So at least they're going to get what they feel the advantageous side of the AD carry swap is, assuming you expect LNG to go for the expected Jinx with the Wukong pick as well.
Okay, Jinx, also maybe an early Doinb pick here. What do you think? Take away something from Cryin?
They could take away the Taliyah. It's something we've seen LNG play. I feel like Doinb has been very hit or miss on the pick. Like we've had some good performances, but we've also had some ones where like, my God, those walls just not on point. But yeah. I feel like that would be the only takeaway you lean into if they aren't just wanting to pick the Jinx here.
Well, we get the Jinx anyway. Okay, let's look at what's available. Renata's there for ShiauC once again. No Silas to take it away this time too. Hacker kind of looking at a different jungler this time around. Last game, what did we get? We got the Xin Zhao. But, I don't know, Hacker is a man of many talents.
Yes.
We've already seen the Rek'Sai, but...
So jungle comes through. Renata, I don't know if I expect. You could go for it since they have the Wukong, but just in terms of the 2v2, right, like, one of the selling points of Jinx is that she's able to outrange the Aphelios, kind of barring the Calibrum. So, wouldn't bring too much in that aspect of you having to worry about all-ins, because typically it is against like the Kalista and the Lucian where it's just like instantly pick this up. But looks like they're still considering it. ShiauC, I mean, he found some impactful, especially handshakes, like early on in the game. But looks like they're going to go with the logic of like, hey, since we don't just have a 2v2 that is just going to be running headfirst into us, they're going to get ShiauC on something more comfortable and also something that still brings some team fight power with the Nautilus.
But I wonder if LNG then take it. No, they go, nah, Tahm Kench. Sometimes rare to see, honestly. We've seen more Lulu paired up with Jinx than I feel like we have with the Tahm.
Will be able to give them safety coming out from that point-click ultimate from ShiauC. And now for LNG, I wonder if they'll go towards mid bans, considering that I feel like mid is the pool that is a lot more, like, you could limit, in my mind, from both players as compared to top. But no, actually wanting to take away Zoom's GP. If there's one thing Lumao knows quite well, it is Zoom's GP.
He does, of course. And Zoom's best champion historically, I feel. I'd also put up, like, his Swain. I mean, Zoom has played a couple of Swain games this split, and historically on JDG, he was someone who always had that pocket pick, kind of like EDG Ray at the time. As we go through, though, Corki going to be banned. Now, you talk about limiting mid-champion pool. Maybe we get another soul lane ban here, Lyric, and it could be that Taliyah that we've been talking about all draft long. Azir instead, okay, same direction, different line.
It's something that Doinb himself is comfortable playing, but I definitely don't think of it as one of the champions that comes to mind when you think of Doinb, and definitely much more of a Cryin pick. And to me, those have been the two picks Cryin stood out on this split, has been the Azir and the Taliyah. So I like the ban coming through. Now for Ultra Prime, I mean, you theoretically could take away the Swain from them as well with how like short range your comp is setting up to be. It doesn't necessarily thematically fit with what LNG are going for themselves. It more just works well into what Ultra Prime had picked. So they aren't going to opt into it. And now LNG getting to pick up one of their soul laners first. The Gnar still being available. Not too many answers into the Gnar like we've seen this split, unless you're willing to opt into one of those more volatile matchups.
Well, Zoom might be.
Ooh, and it does open up Zoom's favorite champion, the Sejuani, always being one of the go-tos that we see into this. And like we said, it's Zoom's most played champion this split.
I've seen people opt into things like the Gwen as well at times too. Zoom's played a lot already, but as you said, Sejuani's been his favorite. 6 games played before this. It's funny that Gnar is also his second most played champion too. So we get the Sej Lyric. We get a bit of a front line built up here from Ultra Prime. Now we're going to find out if Cryin wants to play the Taliyah again, or maybe something that has a stronger laning phase, a bit more solid.
Taliyah and Lissandra are kind of the two things that jump to my mind in terms of what he should opt into going towards. Taliyah still gives him that ability to move, to make plays, looks very comfortable on it. Lissandra would at least bring more lockdown, and when you're dealing with things like the Tahm Kench, I mean, like, you can only eat one person, and you already have a Nautilus and a Sejuani. They do instead opt into the Swain. So we said this is a pick that, does well in the short range, which is what they've drafted, but it also goes well with what they picked up in terms of how much engage they do have on the table.
No. Let's pause. Remember, Doinb got his first penta on this champion in 2021 spring or summer. No.
I put nothing past Doinb. I put nothing past him. Anything is possible.
Well, Lissandra, not quite the same ring to it, but it's still going to be something for Doinb that I guess can match here. Lyric, run me through LNG's draft because we have a lot of AoE.
I mean, I think both drafts want to opt into team fights, right? You have so many tools, so much setup to be able to look for this. For LNG, they at least have a bit of protection coming for their AD carry. So if fights go a little bit longer, a little bit more extended, if you can like get out of Swain's ult range early and make sure that that doesn't get a lot of value, then LNG could probably take those. For Ultra Prime, they want short, they want brawly, they want to be able to get into your face. And to me, that seems like the thing that will define this game. Is if Ultra Prime can find the engages, they can close the gap, they do have a lot of tools to be able to take these 5v5s. If not, if LNG can either bait them out or get Doinb in there first, you lock down L-Keys out of the fight, then that is where the side of LNG will be able to come out strong. I'm interested to see how Doinb does on this, because it was a pick that we thought would lean much heavier into his playstyle, but he's only picked it up once so far this split, and that was a loss. But this is a pick that should highlight his strengths very well, especially when you think of like what someone like ShiauC is able to do on this pick. So hopefully we can see a big stand-up performance from Doinb once again.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right with the sense that, like, you know, he's been playing Talia, Corki, things that have movement within the kit, but the Lissandra, Twisted Fate, Rise, Galio, Kled, everything has movement of some kind of shape. Victor, really the only thing that doesn't. Maybe that's why he played Gragas, because Gragas has a dash. He's got to play it mid. Doinb so far, the damage dealer of LNG, 31% of his team's damage, and has been the core carry. I mean, last game, if you missed out, Tarzan and Doinb put on a clinic, and Ultra Prime got shut out. It wasn't a convincing game from them, but now they have another chance with, as you said, a similar comp to LNG, a team fighting comp, scrappier, close range. I'm excited to see how Ultra Prime play the early game, because LNG last time around, it was around the Herald, it was in the 2v2 lane, where they blew open the early game, and Ultra Prime just started losing out from there.
Ultra Prime definitely come online strongest at level 6, and typically right when you're hitting around that level 6 spike is when things like Herald are coming online, and I feel like when you have Sejuani against Gnar and you have a lot of these great teamfight ultimates, that's where you really want to see the value to secure that objective, when you should be hitting a bit of a better power spike than the members of LNG. So first few levels, we'll see if we get anything. We do have Hacker on the Rift too. I feel like we sold Beitron earlier, where we're like, not too much should happen with these drafts. Beitron still looked for it. Yeah. You actually do have set up in your lanes this game, but yeah, we'll see if Hacker goes for anything before the expected play for Herald does come out, to where LNG, I feel like, will be a little bit more chill. I mean, your bot lane's obviously very safe. For Pandac, you're going to have to be careful of the all-in threats from the Sejuani. That's where he wins out, but I feel like a lot of LNG's lanes are fine, kind of just sitting back and chilling for the first few levels.
Well, they're going to do exactly that. Elk and ShiauC help with the leash on the bottom side. Ward cleared away as well, so that Hacker has a bit of clairvoyance, as ShiauC gets a good hook in, and Lumout takes a trade for it. And as we already see these lanes starting out, I mean, Lumout missing the tongue lash there. Hang on, ShiauC will have Dredge Line in about 3 seconds as well, so this already starts in a perfect way for any LPL fan, while both junglers are actually on the bottom side, and there you go again. All right, support's now half HP.
Yeah, both bot lanes heavy trading, despite the fact that jungler's probably not going to interact with this lane. You can see them going up towards top right now as Zoom, I mean, taking an incredible amount of health from Pandac. And right, Mega Gnar, incredibly strong for the trades. A lot of Gnar's like good trades in this matchup come actually on the exit of when after Sejuani all-ins you, and you can just auto him down and especially get a lot of value out from your W with that HP damage. So good to see Pandac kind of still keeping it up, because we hit on it in game 1. He struggled a lot in the first series, not necessarily in the 1v1. He was just getting focused a lot by the enemy team and really wasn't playing around that pressure well.
No, he wasn't. I feel like Panda on the Gnar as well wasn't impactful as, you know, many other Gnars in the league too. So this is his chance to show up big against Ultra Prime, against Zoom, who is a bit of a veteran of the league despite not being able to play in the past year, I should say. Remember JDG 2020 spring, 2020 summer, leading veteran in that sense. He's got a domestic title under his belt as well. On this Sej, opted in for the matchup. We know he comforts it quite a lot here as he goes in for the Arctic Assault. But Lyric, my mind's actually paying attention to the minimap because junglers are battling it out a little bit. Hacker seems to have a camp lead as Tarzan seems to have picked up Scuttlecrab right under his nose.
But Hacker going to try to head down to the bot side to get that scuttle, but we can see Light and Lumao trying to at least check and see where it is before he gets here, potentially pick that up themselves, but Ultra Prime
going for,
kind of getting caught out.
I mean, LNG going for the gank on Tarzan, excuse me, onto Cryin. Now turning their head. This is a 4 versus 1 if they continue, but they will not. Spot it out on the exit path. The ShiauC looks to roam up too. A dredge line, not going to find Light, of course, and LNG, they have 4 members around this with Doinb still going back to mid.
And for LNG, they could have potentially even gotten more had the knockup from Lumao connected on a Hacker. That could have, been a flash having to come out from Hackers. So they already got a lot and had 1 or 2 things gone mechanically better or just, prediction better. That's no slight against Lumao. Like, had Hacker walked in the wrong place, that's even worse. So nice by LNG to capitalize on these plays, bringing jungle into mid. And now for Ultra Prime, looks like they might be trying to set up a play in bot.
They are. Lumao went for the tongue lash, but look how deep he is in lane. Hacker's on his way through. Movement speed going to come through with the Herald path. As Light flashes away, he heals too. Ultra Prime in the 2v2. They get themselves some summoners.
That flash was right in time as well, because you could already see the auto attack wind up from ShiauC coming out. That would have been his passive connecting. Light would have been locked down, and that could have also been a kill. So we're having a lot of close calls coming on both sides of the rift so far, but summoners being burnt only at the 5-minute mark now. Tarzan wanting to play a lot around Doinb considering he has the lockdown.
I mean, Cryin saw him too. This is going to be a good trade as Cryin gets himself the never move, and Tarzan takes so much damage. Hang on a minute, we're looking top now all of a sudden. His Ignite goes down. Panda! Zoom doesn't look at explosions. That's a cool guy for you for first blood.
Zoom, incredibly not only experienced, but experienced in this matchup. He has gone towards this pick so many times. You can see him knowing the levels of aggression that can come out, and with that Ignite, he cements the kill. Great first find by Ultra Prime. When they hit on their goal, like, if we get through the early game, we feel comfortable that we can be able to take it. And you'll see here exactly how it goes down. Able to connect his initial abilities. Panda see the giant stone, the Q not connecting onto Zoom and actually hit the minions initially. And Zoom's like, okay, nothing from you's connecting onto me. Keeps going forward with that W, layers down the Ignite, and Zoom got himself that first kill.
All right, he took the matchup. He knows he loves his champion, and it's his most played for a reason. The Sejuani solo kill. No one expects it, but it's happened so many times in the LPL. As we put our attention back to the bottom lane, Tarzan going to get a rude surprise from ShiauC, who's waiting in the brush. A good zap here from Light as a knock-up as well. He's got no summoners, Lyric, and LNG key this play together so nicely. Light gets the kill, and that was just gorgeous from Lumao. Tarzan and Light in combo.
Yeah, and we're going to see what happened on the other side of the map as well. Is it looks like, okay, just able to get a good trade onto him. I don't think he went down.
No, but he almost did. Oh my god.
Almost did. They'd have to use, yeah. So TP is down as well, and is quite a bit behind in terms of minions, because it looks like Zoom has a wave coming into him. So overall, just really nice trade coming out for Zoom.
All right, Lyric, let's be real. We need Zoom to build AP. Okay, chop chop. LNG's bottom lane already ahead. It looks like a bit of a nightmare here if Ultra Prime, if the same pattern continues. I know I'm just joking, but in all honesty, Zoom is doing the best on the map. 15 CS is the lead. Bot might have a small CS lead, but now Light has a kill. He's got a noon quiver, ladies and gentlemen. Look at mid. 10 CS here for Doinb. And Zoom continues to play this Sejuani like he's playing his, Swain, his GP.
He's kiting it out perfectly.
So well. He's been doing it all game. He did it at level 2, Lyric. Like, that's why the trade went so evenly. These fancy footsteps, I mean, it's so clinical.
And now, 7:45 on the clock. Gnar just timed out. Your top lane is pressure. We'd already hit on the fact that this would be where Ultra Prime should potentially be looking for that fight around topside Herald. With how much pressure Zoom's generating, I feel like it just warrants it even more. We could see on the minimap, though, that Lumao is heading up to mid first. ShiauC still sitting in bottom lane.
Panda, oh my god. Yeah, I'm going to be tracking ShiauC a little bit closer, but he's still only level 5. Sorry, level 4, actually. That's Lumao, who's 5. Hasn't made the move. 2v1 is topside. Panda has to flash away, but look at this. The Swain sends Vision of Empire. He puts the fingers up, and ladies and gentlemen, he says, hey, That's a perfect shot right there. Lyric, no one can see what I'm doing, so I just sound silly. But you know when you don't have a camera and you want to be artistic and you want to be like Vincent van Gogh and you whatever his name was, and you put your fingers like an L shape, both hands. You know what I'm talking about? Make a rectangle.
Of course.
That's the vision of Empire. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Trying to bring a bit of culture, trying to bring a little bit of, I got you, as Ultra Prime did also have that same culture and that same artsiness, as they did pick up the Herald. LNG realizing they can't contest, especially once Zoom found that heavy trade up in top lane, and now Hacker heading down towards his bottom lane. Probably just going to end up clearing out his camps with the wave crashing in. If LNG did opt into overstaying, it would set up a gank opportunity, but LNG won't, so maybe the most realistic place we expect Hacker to use his Herald would be towards his top lane turret, just doubling down on the lead that Zoom has. His camp's already up, heading towards the top side of the map, so it should just naturally be where Hacker looks regardless.
I mean, as well, Cryin looks like he's having a good time in lane, or better time in lane, as we keep pathing towards here. You can see that so far, Cryin hasn't really made a big back, so this should be one as he clears out the rest of the minion wave. Doinb trying to stop him from backing from the time being, but that glacier path needs to be at max range, and yes, it does hit him. Cryin has to stick around for a little bit longer, while Lumao helps the push out through mid as well. So for bot mid, it continues to be, I guess, a good time for LNG, while Zoom still only seems to be the winning line.
And even though LNG haven't found anything off of it, I still want to compliment them on the amount we've seen Lumao influencing the map, because we've hit on that has really been one of the big areas for LNG that we don't see too much in terms of support jungle moving together, trying to help with reset timings on mid, or in this case, punishing Cryin, who wants to look for a reset to find the enemy advantage that he needs. So LNG now just trying to double down on the bottom lane with how rough of a time that Pandac is having up in top side.
So waiting for those first items, though, look at this vision control. In the first alcove was built into the jungle. Lumao and Tarzan trying to utilize it as Elk and ShiauC are playing really safe, but there's still no vision in here. If they walk up, they will die, even with summoners available. Lumao, Tarzan having Cyclone knock up. Tarzan going to back off for now, though, as the minion wave's coming through, and they feel confident now because Hacker's coming down.
Ultra Prime not opting into looking for any sort of play on top side with, they could have made a 3-man play on top side with both Cryin and Hacker and potentially gotten a tower, but saying, no, we value keeping our bot lane in the game even more. Zoom will continue to win out naturally, so I feel like that's why they feel very fine leaving him on this island. And now, with Dragon coming up in 45 seconds, feels like the vision control that both teams have around the side of the map is going to be crucial.
Pandac getting him on the way out. Zoom gets the turret. That's what he wants. At least the turret plating, excuse me. Vision control you talked about, 35 seconds kind of evaluate that, because as Hacker walks down, it's LNG once again gearing up for the play. Tarzan goes in, double Cyclone. Elk and ShiauC in a world of hurt. ShiauC with a great dredge line, but look at this abyssal dive. Lumao predicts the path with Ignite down. Cleanse won't be enough. Death Rocket avoided, but Light's about to get excited yet again. Onto ShiauC, zap block, but Cryin comes in. A double kill already for Tarzan, but a reset given over. Cryin wants to dive. This is Light is still so low. Flash away from the Heartbreaker. He lives for now because Doinb can't get in to get a return.
That started off so well for the side of LNG, but with Cryin and Hacker able to make it down over Doinb, that completely changed the play, gave them the opportunity to drop Herald as well, and pretty much coming out even across the board. The one kind of silver lining for LNG is Light being able to survive, Light being able to keep picking up farm and experience when he will be the big damage dealer. But starts off here, Tarzan finds the angle. ShiauC does a great job at trying to prevent the kill from going out, but my god, I don't know what happened to Lumao today. Another beautiful knockup coming through, and then they try to all in on ShiauC because he is incredibly low, kind of brought into this alcove. But we see here, Cryin gets in, he has his ulti available, and now with members going down, allowing for more uses of the Heartbreaker to come through, makes Light blow the flash. And yeah, Doinb just not able to make it down in time.
It's unfortunate because, the other two cleanups there, and LNG would have themselves a gold lead, but they don't. As we look at topside yet again, this continues to happen over and over. But what we saw in the bot side play, look at the gold distribution. 2 kills onto Tarzan. We now have him with a Divine Sundra. It's going to be matched by Hacker, but this Wukong was 10 CS down, so it feels like right now going to be in a pretty good spot as Mythic's actually coming pretty much across the board here for the core LNG members. Panda, we know, won't have one, but look at Light, look at Doinb. As Dragon is live, Lyric, you were setting me up for this, but Doinb, as he gets stretch line in, ShiauC won't make the pull back. He gets locked in place. Cryin's coming in, wants to never move, as the rocket as well almost kills ShiauC. Light on point, and now that ShiauC's low, we'll see if Dragon's a confidence play from Ultra Prime.
I think LNG should be able to look for this now. I also got to say, I don't really, even if ShiauC would have connected the hook and pulled him closer to him, like, the other members are walking around. I don't see in what way that play is able to guarantee a kill on the Doinb, and then just they find out Tarzan's there, and he is the one forced down. But I like this. Have Tarzan go towards that Drake and play more towards your bottom lane. And they actually do just opt into hovering for Light and end up stopping Drake to just make sure that he's able to get this. But with the Gale Force advantage, it really feels like that is some huge momentum for the side of LNG. Light either being able to reposition, or if Lumao once again would land a good knockup, being able to follow from quite a distance.
Well, I like that. Light's actually going Kraken here as well. So we're just having a bit of a Zoom show. So yeah, I know, because we're used to Gale Force, right?
Well, also, it's that point in the day of like, okay, we're 5 games deep. You see a Kraken Slayer and you say something else, you know?
That's true.
Especially considering the weather of what seems all around the world is L.
Yeah, he's got no summoners, and Zap might not even need to connect. Death Rocket, Lumao gets a kill, but yet it's still a kill. 0 and 2 on the bottom lane for both support and AD. Light tanking this up. Might give a bit of time to Tarzan and Lumao to get out as the turret's ramped up, and Lumao with a dredge line getting him pulled in. He'll sacrifice his life. The knock-up just to buy time, but Cryin picks up the kill with LNG going past the inner turret, looking for more blood.
Oh, and Hacker and Pandac gonna find each other. Hacker not wanting to opt into this because Doinb's still close by, considering he is in mid. And I think the same kind of uncertainty coming from the side of LNG of why you wouldn't want to commit onto the Viego there, right? You theoretically don't know where some of the members could be now after having moved from picking up some kills in the bot lane. But Ultra Prime very clearly wanting to look for this. Zoom's on the opposite side of the map, though, and I still feel like Zoom is one of the big power members on the side of Ultra Prime. Seems like they have enough of a tempo advantage coming out from their resets, though, that maybe LNG can't get here in time, but no. LNG actually should be able to look to contest.
I'm looking at Doinb right now. We haven't seen much of him in this game, but no contest. Maybe waiting for the pick off the back of the play. Lumao drops a ward to spot this out, but Ultra Prime have full control of the area, and second Herald will be theirs. So an early game that's still dead even. LNG with 2 dragons. But apart from that, I mean, Ultra Prime are keeping up in gold, Lyric, and we talked a lot about the team fighting here. The tanks are online as Dredge Line comes through, and the question can hold for now. ShiauC just trying to fish out for a hook and see what he can get. But back to my point, you know, the team fighting comps, we know there's 2 apiece here. We know that LNG and Ultra Prime have similar identities, but just different pieces of movement. I mean, in close quarters combat, we know that Ultra Prime are still going to be doing well, being this even at this point in the game.
Yeah, and to me, Ultra Prime are also, I'd say, a little bit more reliant on ultis. Like, that is the big power point of Swain and even Sejuani in team fights. Like, sure, LNG's ultimates are crucial as well, but if Cryin goes in, his ult time's out, you're not that same sort of drain tank that you would be otherwise. You will just get bursted down by the members of LNG. So definitely a lot of it going to come down to that execution, especially now that we've seen the game develop in a way where teams have their gold in different places. For Ultra Prime, their gold lead being on top, and I believe Cryin, despite being down in CS, was about even in mid, and then for LNG, it's the opposite, right? Your big gold lead is on your AD carry, so both teams can kind of get prio in different places or in different ways. It'll be about how they use that. For Ultra Prime right sides, for LNG mid, because that's where Jinx will be.
Yeah, okay. Well, 2 minutes at least. We're going to see a full 5-on-5 at the very least around Dragon. And you know that Jinx will have rapid fire cannon, so it'll become harder as well for Ultra Prime to try and utilize that mid lane. And, you know, you talk about sides as well. Zoom doing pretty well in this game, as we've already talked about. But Pandac finally getting the Divine Thunder. It looks like his confidence going up a little bit here with the wave pushing in bottom side. Elk's moving down there while LNG have a concentrate towards mid, towards top side, Lyric. I mean, this could be a disaster if Panda overextends.
It could be very rough, but he won't do that. He's actually going to make his way towards mid. Elk!
Oh my god, eaten up. in the nick of time. Lumao saves his life, but here's Panda. The flash ult backwards. Elk not going to take the death rocket, and a good attempt from the newbie of LNG to make a pick happen.
It looked like LNG's bot lane weren't extremely prepared for it, or I feel like Lumao maybe could have been already preemptively walking forward, or maybe that also gives away the play. So I don't know, but point is, it wasn't able to work out. Elk did have to blow everything to be able to get out from there. But even going back to Elk going in, right, this is kind of one of the differences in power spikes in Aphelios versus Jinx, of with that Gale Force being able to look for that pick, Gale Force straight into the Moonlight Vigil, and try to just have that burst available. A lot of things blown, with Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. No summoners on Elk. Ult's down. LNG's ults are down as well, but at least you still have Flash on your AD carry and support.
And I mean, giving away Hextech Soul, like this is the third Dragon, it will lead to the Soul afterwards, of course, but LNG on Soul Point means the fight's going to be forced, but if you give away Hextech Soul to this team as well, we can talk about that in a second. Tarzan going to dodge away from Cryin, but look at the rest of LNG. Glacial Path not taken, it just forces away the mid lane turret. While Pandac's about to go to Mega Gnar, but Zoom's here with a nice flank of his own. The Glacier Prison's available, but Pandac going into Mega Gnar. Ultra Prime don't seem to be worried here as he gets the stun down. Zoom walking forward, the Prison's sent out. In fact, it's just the ease. He sends it onto Lumao, and Panda, the bait is not worth it. As Ultra Prime get a pick in front of this Dragon, the fight continues as Doinb is stretch lined in. He'll ulti in with his own tomb as ShiauC has to flash away. The Death Rocket again not connecting. The Wukong ulti not working. LNG not coming together as Cryin steps on up. This is so messy as Doinb comes back out. The knockup though is light. Looks for his moment in the sun. But Hacker, no! Won't find the kill because light flashes away. Another Jinx moment. Lyric, triple kill, somehow!
I can't believe that LNG actually were able to bring that back. Members were just getting picked off one by one with Hacker able to pick up those resets. But just like last series, we see what happens when a Jinx is left untouched in these skirmishes. He finally gets one, he gets excited, he can just keep laying down the damage. I'm excited to get the replay of this one, especially with keeping the focus onto Light. Pandac, of course, getting caught out. You can see the members of LNG, Doinb and Tarzan were still trying to make their way to mid. They are able to stop this one, but ShiauC, he actually starts it up by finding a hook onto Doinb, doesn't get baited, does throw out the ulti onto Light, but gets chunked so low from Light while doing it. And then Cryin, right in close quarters as a Swain, burning down multiple members. But Lumao comes in clutch to save him. And just the fact that they knew, or at least they had the guess that they could keep going for this, that Light would have the damage available to look for it, as that flash was so key to making sure he didn't go down. This would have been a completely different fight. The ice zombies, also surprisingly, wait, what?
We're back, and ShiauC's dead. I mean, ShiauC's had a rough game around the edges on Nautilus, and Light is now 4-0 and 5. 100% kill participation on this Jinx AD carry with 2.5 items. All of a sudden, LNG, through one minor swing in a fight, have their AD carry online, Lyric, and that is just such a good news. We've set the stakes of this game. Being for these 5-on-5s, Light is leading the charge.
Light doing a lot to, again, kind of bandage the probs that are going on the opposite side, but for LNG, even though Pandac's been rough, I like how they're using him. Use him as the role player, play around your other four as like a core. It's what we saw V5 do back in 2020 when they had QBU in terms of like 4-in-1 kind of squad, and LNG so far with this iteration of the roster have been doing it quite well. And once again, both teams gonna be around the mid lane, but look at Tarzan. Tarzan's still decently far off.
He is. I'm worried about Zoom for Ultra Prime, but as he backs away, I guess LNG are going to be safe here in the mid lane. They've already taken the outer turret. And right now, the battle for vision continues around these side brushes, as it's towards the Baron. It's towards the Dragon that's up, that's going to be sold in 3 minutes' time. LNG do not want to give away this inner turret, outer, at 23 minutes into the game. ShiauC rooted down yet again. And as we continue to 5-stack here, with 4 of LNG sitting pretty, Panda now walks in case it happens over the next wave too. And let's be real, it looks like it will, but LNG seem to be giving it up because they want LDR on Light. He's now picked up that item as Ultra Prime wait for the wave and to see if Light can get back in time.
And when you have a lot of armor already being built on Zoom and Hacker, you know the Zanya is going to come out for Cryin. That's a huge pickup and engage.
Cryan's already taken half his HP. Light's come in with the death rocket. Zoom is just dead. What? LNG given a fight as Panda's ulti. That'll redeem him for the S+. Elk gets one of his own, but Light's free hitting again. He opened up the death note. Cryin, Elk, ShiauC, Ultra Prime, all die of a heart attack.
And now we see it gives the Baron over to LNG. They're making their way towards it now. And it just feels so nice to see LNG 2 games in a row, playing up to a decent standard, kind of dismantling the enemy team game 1 from early this game in these 5v5s. And now we can see what momentum they could take after they get this objective.
This is LNG, unleashed, uncharged. I mean, not as clean as game 1 Lyric, but hey, great plays like this coming through.
Everfrost
is so nice.
Yeah, Everfrost from Doinb locks 2 members down. Cryin already forced out, sets up for Zoom to get hit by the ult from Wukong. And then Panda might not deliver them into a wall and stun them, but delivers them right into the other members of LNG. So very easily able to start off this fight. That initial Everfrost being the hero for LNG to set up those kills.
I mean, Doinb has had a pretty good series. Let's be real. He's been quiet this game, though, Lyric. On the Lissandra, he hasn't really done much, but when everything's focused around the mid lane and they just happen to group up, I mean, the Lissandra having the time of his life is 4.6k damage. Light truly is Kira in this second game. A 6k gold lead, Lyric. LNG with Dragon Soul on the horizon. All of a sudden, the gold lead looks near unapproachable for Ultra Prime.
No, and that hook was close, but Light has some protection from Lumao. He's the big carry, and it's why we've been hitting on him. Is even when we've been down on LNG, he's been one of the members we have not been critical of because he has consistently put up solid to good performances, right? Like, he has his range, it never really dips down. This is one of those games where Light just able to show what he has, especially with the range he has available. In Panda, putting pressure in mid lane, just playing through the 2 lanes, he can now roam to bot, and you can just slowly whittle down this turret. Ball's in Ultra Prime's court to try and engage on either mid or look for the 5v4 bot, but LNG just really strangling them out so far.
I think LNG right now have their eyes set on the prize. JDG looking at this smiling, playoffs on the horizon. And as LNG get TP'd on, look, ShiauC almost dies. Lights the target, but he's still got Lumao into the belly of the beast as he kites it on back. The Demon Flare's ready, but he's out of range. Now back into the rockets. Cryin is down, and Ultra Prime are burning the midnight oil. He returns, excited as ever. The world is rotten, he says. And for LNG, those who face them deserve to die. Someone has to do it, Lyric. Someone has to do it. So why not Light here on the Jinx as they secure JDG's playoffs in the LPL summer, the first team, but revitalize this roster we have been so sus on for the past couple of weeks.
It's actually crazy that we have 2 winners in this series, like you just said. With this win, somehow, JDG locked in playoffs, but LNG, I mean, just showing up today. You can see so great of Doinb being this wholesome guy, trying to get Panda involved in the team. Walks up, gives him the pat on the back because they were able to do it. That man carried in game 1. We saw Light be the big damage dealer in game 2. We'll give a shout out to Lumao as well because Lumao had some, once again, really good moments. And for a member where it doesn't feel like we get a chance to highlight the good plays that come from Lumao all too much, it was great to see. But those team fights, able to turn them around, able to punish the small missteps from Ultra Prime because Ultra Prime were able to find some solid momentum like throughout this game. Zoom became huge in that top lane, but it was really that one overstep in mid. Everfrost comes out, now Light popping off left and right. He was left untouched even in the prior engage that looked like LNG should have lost. Light outplayed it with his flash, with Lumao devouring him to be able to pick up and just start accruing this gold lead. Yeah. Great to see from LNG, kind of show 2 different dimensions in 2 different games, and also them leaning on a player who has been ever so reliable and ever so great in Light.
And let's be real, like, this game wasn't decided, by Ultra Prime's laning phase, as you were saying. You said it was a dive mid. It was multiple times grouping up mid. They wanted that outer turret so bad. And when LNG have Lissandra, so many tools to deny Ultra Prime stepping up, it just felt like Ultra Prime continued to try and group